has changed without question is that people's motivation has to be greater than their fear.
Got it. Now, by people, do you mean the customer or do you mean for the realtor?
I mean, both.
Okay.
So, but specifically for the customer, right? Like their motivation has to be greater than their fear. Otherwise, they are not going to be in the marketplace. So what do I mean by that? Is that we have completely shifted into a life event market.
Everybody, my name's Alex Vidal. I am president of Related ISG International Realty and host of the show you're watching today, episode number 98 of the Closer Club. And there's nothing that will ever stop the Closer Club, not even a coronavirus. And if that means I'm shooting outside on my laptop while I quarantine my kids and my dogs inside and we have wind and airplanes and all that going on, we're coming to you every single week. This week, we are joined by one of the masters in our industry, former guest of the Closer Club, episode number 42, actually, Aaron Novello. Aaron, how are you, buddy?
Doing awesome, man. Thank you kindly for providing me the opportunity to be here and be here with your community.
Yeah, man, thank you. And I'll tell you right now, this meeting was to be in person, but the gentleman that you're watching on this screen, Aaron, said, Alex, as leaders in the community, we need to set the example and do this via Zoom. I promised myself after episode 50 something I would never do this again. But we got to be flexible. We got to pivot. And here we are. So, Aaron, thank you for being cognizant of that and doing it. Now, I will tell you, if you did not watch our last episode, number 42, you can find it on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all that good stuff, iHeart, iTunes. This is what we talked about. We talked about Aaron's backstory. We talked about the 3 things that played a role in his success to closing 200 transactions a year. We talked about his breakthrough moment, working on teams, how to break out of a slump, how to handle the question we all get, which we're going to be getting a lot of now. How's the market? Handling unrealistic sellers. We had an amazing lightning round. We covered a lot more. Please go to the former links. YouTube is the easiest way. You'll see it there. Episode number 42 with Aaron. All right, man. You ready?
I'm ready, bro.
All right, let's set the stage. This was a critical and vital for this interview that we're doing together. Let's set the stage and drown out some of the noise for the realtor viewers that are watching this. Is business being done as we speak? Are you taking listings and are you putting deals under contract?
Yeah, it's a wonderful question. So what I'm aware of is last week I listed 4 properties, had 4 go under contract. The week before that, it was 4 listings and 5 go under contract. So I know that people are still in the marketplace buying or selling. What I am aware of though, Alex, what has changed without question is that people's motivation has to be greater than their fear.
Got it. Now, by people, do you mean the customer or do you mean for the realtor?
I mean, both.
Okay.
So, but specifically for the customer, right? Like their motivation has to be greater than their fear. Otherwise, they are not going to be in the marketplace. So what do I mean by that? Is that we have completely shifted into a life event market.
Interesting. Okay.
So what are life events? Life events are, unfortunately, somebody passes away.
Yep.
Somebody got divorced, unfortunately. Somebody lost their job, unfortunately. Somebody got a job relocation and must move. Somebody's moving into an assisted living facility. Somebody's retiring, right? There has to be a compelling reason, Alex, for somebody to be in the marketplace. Otherwise, their fear is going to be greater than their motivation, and they're not going to be willing to do what it takes to be in the marketplace at the moment.
Got it. So it sounds like your focus right now is focusing on the clients that have a motivation bigger than the fear. Is that pretty accurate?
Oh, 1,000%. And what I'm aware of is, I started selling real estate really during the last economic downturn.
Yep.
So in 2008 and 9, when there was a meltdown, I found myself kind of newer in the business. And I'm aware that a lot of your viewers, perhaps, I'd say maybe 50%, they haven't been selling real estate long enough to experiencing a downward, retracting marketplace, right? So we've had 6 or 7 years of a complete upward trending market. And in that environment, you don't have to be really good at pre-qual. You don't have to be pretty good at presenting, right? You could just show up, dress remotely well, don't say anything silly, and you'll probably do some deals.
Yep.
Well, in a marketplace when it gets tough, Alex, only the skilled get paid.
There you go. And we're going to talk about how to build those skills. And really what I want to focus on to start off the interview, aside from knowing that you're busy, and I know we talked off camera a little bit about I've made 35 calls to our agents, and most of them are finding themselves in similar situations of taking listings and putting deals under contract, and most importantly, closing. What I really want to get from our audience is, what are you doing to get these listings and close these deals? So let's start with, without getting into the actual detail, just schedule perspective. If I were to look a quick glance at your calendar, what does your typical day look like before coronavirus? What does it look like now? And has it changed?
Yeah, because, you know, I tell people, and I've been telling people, because separate from the residential resale brokerage, as you know, I coach agents throughout the country. Yep. About 7 of them earn 7 figures. And on my coaching calls, what I'm telling people is, I stay ready so I don't have to get ready.
Yep.
You see, I haven't missed a day of prospecting in 11 years.
That's crazy.
That's probably 20,000 hours of practice and role play and doing the real thing.
So what does your schedule look like? You wake up, this is what you do, then you do this, and then you do this. What does that breakdown look like?
Yeah, so the schedule hasn't changed.
Got it.
The schedule is the same as it was prior to this, which is that I wake up early in the morning, something with a 5 in front of it. And, you know, when I hear people tell me like, oh, you know, I wake up later than that, I ask them a simple question, which is that, are you independently wealthy? And they'll tell me, well, no. And I said, well, you're sleeping in like you're rich.
I like that.
So something with a 5 in front of it. And what I'm aware of is, in times of uncertainty, this is definitely that for a lot of people, right? What I'm aware of is consistency creates certainty.
That's right.
So those rituals, like, I'm not changing them. It's the same thing that I was doing before. So I'm still waking up with something at 5 in front of it. I'm still doing something physical with my body.
Yep.
Right? Because my body, my nervous system responds to my physiology.
Got it.
Right? So fear is a visceral experience, but so is courage. And I need to train courage into my body. Right?
Love it. Love it.
So, and I know you're a big, you know, believer in that. I know you do lots of endurance events and things of that nature. Then what I do is I do something called the Platinum Hour, which is where I'm sending emails to staff and stuff, letting them know of appointments that are coming up to get you ready. And then I write out the things that I'm appreciative of. I think that's very important now. I think if anything, this has caused us to really focus on those things and remember, you know, those things that we have in our life that, you know, we can be appreciative of. Then I write out the things that I want, right? The things, my goals and objectives.
Yeah, your manifestation list, essentially.
Yeah, because I don't want to be a wandering generality. I want to be a meaningful specific.
Got it.
I want to be very clear on what my goals and objectives are, right? Then what I'll do is I'll sit in that chair that you see over there.
Yep.
And I'll center myself for about 10 minutes. And that's just me closing my eyes, dropping my awareness inward. Because what I'm aware of is, now more than ever, I need a massive amount of energy in order to output, right? Not only for myself, but for all of our clients. I mean, one of the coaching calls I had today, like, you know, there were tears.
Yep.
I'm sure on some of those calls that you're having, there's
some are difficult. Yep.
So I need a massive amount of energy in order to be able to output and be there for other people, right? And part of that, I have to be physically strong. I have to be emotionally grounded, or emotionally stable, excuse me, and I have to be spiritually grounded.
Man, and Aaron, that's something I really want to touch upon. That the fact that the physical component, I don't think people understand, whether you're leading a brokerage like me, or you're leading, you know, 200 sellers and buyers a year. The amount of energy output that comes into leading that is amazing. And you can't do it if you don't also train the physical as much as you train the mental, particularly like with the gratitude and the manifestation that you're going through.
That's right. Yeah. And emotional and spiritual, like that fits in. So, and then after that, I grab, you know, my laptop, I put on some music, and then I read these 2 sheets, right? The 10 things I'm most appreciative of.
Okay.
And then my daily 10, like what I want to make a contribution at. I jump on a little mini trampoline that I have in my room, so that way I can, you know, lymphocyze and get the energy moving.
Okay.
And then I warm up this instrument, right? Because this is my instrument.
Mm-hmm.
You know, physicians have a stethoscope. You know, contractors have their hammer. What I have is this.
Yep.
I warm that up, little la 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 la, you know, because I'm about to perform. And then I pick up the headset and I rock and roll.
So how long are you prospecting for? And my next question, we're going to break down the prospecting in a minute, but what would you say? And I wouldn't be surprised if a kid comes running behind either one of us during this interview.
Yeah, I know. I saw my son, he just like opened the door. He's like, what's going on here? I'm like, ah.
Oh, that's funny, man. What, there's a breeze, so I hope the mic's not picking up the wind, but talk to me about prospecting. How many hours do you typically prospect for?
Yeah. So for me, it's 3 hours a day.
Wow.
And it's 5 to 6 days a week. Now, what I'm telling clients right now in terms of dealing with what we're experiencing
is that what we do doesn't change, Alex, but how much of it we do and how we do it is what changes.
Oh, dude, so you stole my next question. So let's wait, pause that for a minute. So you prospect for 3 hours. What happens after prospecting? What are you doing after that?
After prospecting, for me, I'll have maybe about 15 to 20 minutes to do admin. So I have staff that like filter through all the emails. They'll send me like offers that have come in or things that need my attention, or clients who maybe need me to text them or call them real quickly. And then after that, it's coaching calls. And for me, I coach about anywhere from 38 to 40 people throughout the country. So there's a block between 12 o'clock and around 3 o'clock. That's just back to back 30-minute calls. And then after that, it's going on appointments. And sometimes that might be 2 appointments a day, 3 appointments a day. And I finish up around maybe 6 or 7.
Got it. So you're really starting your day by waking up early, getting physically in shape, getting your mind ready, getting centered, getting focused on what your intentions and what your goals are, getting your mouth warmed up so you can make the calls, prospecting for 3 hours, quick admin, quick lunch, jump back on, coach your 35 or 38 to 40 people, and then go on appointments.
Good.
Awesome. So let's talk about, and by the way, it's very similar. Wake up early. Well, there's no school right now, but right now it's very easy. Wake up, go straight to the gym, get a workout in, take a shower, get dressed like I'm going to work, and then work from here and rock and roll. Now, by the way, and I'm going to rephrase because you said something recently on Instagram, which is where I got this question. So let me just ask you right now, where can people find you on Instagram?
Yeah, so at Aaron Novello on Instagram.
All right. So you talked about prospecting 5 to 6 days a week. What we do doesn't change, but how much we do and how we do it does. So what has that, and it sounds like I already know the answer to this based on what you said, but what was it like before and what have you changed in light of the coronavirus? And some sub questions I have with that is, we already know you're prospecting 3 hours a day. We know it sounds like you're prospecting between 8 and 11, maybe roughly in that time. What are you saying when you call these people right now?
Yeah, so it's just, depending on who you're calling, it's like, I'm a local real estate agent here in the area. Let's say it's an expired. I noticed that your property came off the market as an expired listing. And I was just reaching out simply just to find out if ultimately your goal and objective is to still sell the property, or if things had changed forever, or if you're simply just going to table it for a few months and then you revisit it as, this kind of situation plays out.
Got it. And how have you been? So it sounds like you have a great script, right? And so you definitely have scripts that you probably role play every morning as well as in that. Nothing's changed from before the coronavirus to after. It seems like all that's still rocking and rolling, still the same.
Yeah, all that's still the same. I guess what I'm aware of is there's a few things that I would suggest to, agents who may be listening to this.
Yeah, please.
One is you need to skill up.
Okay.
What I mean by that is that, I really mean that when things get difficult, only the skilled get paid. And the skill that you need to really, really work on is pre-qualification. You need to become a surgeon with regards to questions to make sure that people's motivation is greater than their fear. Otherwise, they're not going to be willing to do something. The other skill that you really need is presenting price. That's going to become very important as we see kind of changes in the marketplace. Sure. And then you also need the skill of price adjustments.
Let me ask
you. I think that's going to be a required skill set for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, how much out of all the phone calls you're making, if you're prospecting 3 hours, I would assume you're in the hundreds of calls during those 3 hours, right? How much would you say of the percentage of people you speak to, how many are bringing up coronavirus as an objection right now to not wanting to do something? Or is it kind of like an objection that they're just throwing as they would any other objection?
Yeah, like 30 or 40%. And, my question to them is like, well, that's cool because I'll be here to help you when that time comes because we're here to stay. I guess I'm wondering, just so I'm clear, is this something that's still important to you and your family? Or have you reassessed the whole thing and you may not actually make the move anymore?
Got it. And I love that because what you're doing is you're really isolating the objection to say, is it really a thing or are you just giving me another wall that I have to break through?
And then let's say they're like, yeah, well, I still want to make this move happen. Okay, and let's say that we knew that there was a very large financial benefit to you to do this sooner rather than later, right? Is that something that you would be interested in? Or would you say like, no, like under no set of circumstances am I interested in actually looking at this at the moment?
Got it. And I want to preface this. You are not hesitant. The number or the output of phone calls that you're making in light of the coronavirus has not decreased in any way, shape, or form. If anything, it's increased.
Nor has my schedule. No, nothing's changed. It's all the same.
That's the money right there. Nothing has changed. I think most people got to realize nothing has changed in terms of your schedule with that. Now, I'm sure some things have changed, and this is what's going to lead to my next question. You are a listing master. You always say you must be a listing-based agent. I know that the old adage is listing agents or lasting agents, and that's definitely, it probably will never change and throughout our careers at least. How are you handling listing presentations right now? And with your current listings, how are you handling open houses?
Yeah, so I feel as though we each have to make a decision as kind of citizens with regards to when it makes sense from a civic perspective to not physically go and meet with people anymore.
Okay.
Right. I feel as though we're getting this very kind of convoluted, not clear message where it's like kind of stay at home, but like kind of not. We have some states that are on complete shutdown, others that aren't. We have people that are following it. So it's not very clear. So I'm aware that I can't control how this thing spreads, but I do have some control whether or not, I could potentially be a carrier of it and, give it to somebody else. So I made an executive decision. The last physical appointment that I went on was last Friday. Moving forward, I'll be going on appointments, but they'll be in like this, either virtually via Zoom or Skype or just via telephone. And the truth is I think one of the beneficial outcomes of this kind of situation as it unfolds is for everyone, all industries, not just our industry, to recognize that a lot more can be done that way. So 30% of all of the business that I do, anywhere from 50 to 60 transactions a year, I physically never meet the owner. It's all over the phone.
Got it.
We present over the phone. We send the contract via DocuSign. We send the photographer to go take pictures. We, get an offer. I present it to them, send it to them via DocuSign. It closes. We call it, say congratulations, and ask for a review. So what I'm aware of is that's a process that a lot of agents, and it could be a mental map thing for them.
Absolutely.
Just to recognize that that's totally possible.
What's interesting about that is that you're right. You nailed it on the head. I think you're going to be able to maybe even increase your business 50% year over year by no longer having to go in person. This may be a huge thing for you, actually.
Yeah. So what I'm aware of is in order for me to be able to do the kind of transaction volume we do and coach as many people as I do, I have to be super efficient. And I wouldn't be able to do that if I was physically going on all the appointments, because that takes me getting in the car, driving over there, seeing them, getting back in the car, driving back, right? Where if I can do a presentation for 15 or 20 minutes here, right? Maybe put on a nice coat and a nice shirt, but we're wearing running shorts underneath.
Yeah.
And,
like the news.
Yeah, just kind of do my thing and then send it to him via DocuSign. Like that's way more efficient. It's a much more efficient use of my time.
Would you say your preference now is not now, but if you had a choice between not in person, you have Zoom, Skype, or on the phone, what would you say is your number one choice? Would it be Zoom?
Yeah, I just like if it wasn't in person, which platform would I use?
Yeah.
Yeah, Zoom or Skype. I like both of them.
Got it. But as long as you can see their face, right? I'm assuming body language.
And they can see me, and me as the operator, I'm comfortable with it, right? Like I'm not like.
Got it. And so it sounds like open houses. If you stop doing in-person listing presentations, you probably stop doing open houses as well.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I saw this morning we got a note in our MLS system that you can't input open houses anymore. So.
Yeah, I mean, you can still do them. You just can't input them in the MLS. We had an agent that took a different approach this past weekend. He did an open house, and what he did was he went in, he sanitized everything with Lysol and all that stuff. And what he did was this: he goes, "Listen, I opened up everything in the house, okay, back door, front door, everything. Everybody coming in the house had to come in with gloves, a mask, and booties on. Only 2 people can come in at the same time, meaning one couple. So me and my wife with you, let's say. That's it. Everybody else had to wait in their cars. And if they wanted anything opened in the house, he had to open it for them. Wow. And it was like quick in and out. He had 8 couples come through 2 hours, which was crazy. And he got an offer on his open house from the open house already.
There you go.
So it's, there's a safe way. But you're right. The MLS did cut down on being able to put it in the MLS. Talk to me about buyers. How are you handling your buyers right now? I know a huge overwhelming majority is listings, but you do have the occasional buyer you work with. What are you doing with them?
Yeah, so 80% of my production, 70 to 80% any given year is listings sold. And there's a reason for that because all the coverage is on the listing side.
Yep.
What I'm aware of is, again, the buyers are the same deal, which is their motivation has to be greater than their fear.
Okay.
If they are not super motivated, they're not going to be in the marketplace right now. And I am starting to see, I don't know about you, like, because you have access to all that data in terms of a brokerage firm, but, we've had deals fall apart, because of financing. And I think that'll happen as time progresses.
Yeah, I think you're going to see it. I think the rental, we were talking kind of like the layoffs off right now, the layoffs off camera. A lot of the layoffs right now seem to be more in the hourly wage workers. It'll be interesting to see how that, if that evolves into, you know, the larger salaried. Yeah, I mean, but are you showing them property? What are you going to do?
Yeah, so, you know, at the moment, we're either doing it like virtually, right?
Okay.
Because remember, I made that executive decision as far as like, you know, kind of.
No more in person. Yeah.
Yeah, no more in person.
I kind of in the sun. Let me get in the sun a little bit. It may hurt my eyes, but at least people will be able to see my face a little bit here. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so we're trying to do that virtually in some way.
So you're walking the house with, or going like live or FaceTime?
Yeah, and it's the buyer's agents, yeah, that are doing.
Oh, smart. So you're having the buyer's agent do it, not even yourself. Got it. Yeah. Talk to me about expanding your geographic area. You also touched upon this on Instagram, talking about needing a bigger net. So can you break that down? Expanding your geographic area, needing a bigger net. How do you go about doing those kind of things?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I have the experience of 2008 and 9, which, by the way, during that time frame, over a 4 or 5 year time span, I built my business by 25% year over year.
That's right.
While everything was melting down, I did not do any REOs, and we did one short sale that whole time. Right. So I'm aware that it's a very big opportunity for those who are skilled and those who kind of, you know, buckle down. Now, during that time frame, though, prior to that, my dialing system is I would dial around 20 minutes around my office. But what happens is when a marketplace contracts and the amount of transactions drop, which it will.
Yep, it will, for sure.
Then in order for me to do the same volume or to do more, I have to dramatically expand my market. So you see a lot of agents that are like, well, I'm the Hills agent or I'm the Acres agent. And it's like, dude, that's cool. But when the acres, like the transactions drop to like, you know, there were 20 in that whole neighborhood. Now there's like 5. Then you need to dramatically expand your market. Right?
That's right.
So me personally, I mean, and you know this because you're in our geographic area, you know, we list and sell property in 3 counties.
That's right.
Dade and Palm Beach County. So our net is extremely wide. And that only works again if you're listing based. Right.
Well,
to, you know, I'm not going to drive an hour to work with a buyer.
Yeah, not only listing based, but now being virtual based, you're able to take a listing in Palm Beach or let's say in Kendall and not have to get in your car and drive an hour and a half to Kendall because you're doing it via the computer. I love it. All right, last question. Only people who get paid are the ones who have skills. So I want you to talk about your course because I know when you came on the show last time, you had great success with clients from the show. Actually, one of our prior guests just got a $1.4 million deal from having, essentially he was talking to a seller. He was the buyer. He was buying it for himself, multifamily. And he told me that the guy Googled him, saw our interview together, really liked him, and that's how he got the deal. Really cool story. I'm trying to get a finder's fee. I don't think it's going to happen, but you know, whatever. And, but tell us about your course that people can go and learn about the skills that you've mastered. And then in addition to that, in all sincerity, where do you go to sharpen your skills?
Yeah. So what I'm aware of is like when times get tough, only the skilled get paid. So there are 5 conversations that you need to master. And what I like to share with people, it's like, imagine if you were going to be kind of trying out for a Broadway show and I'm the director and I say to you, hey, Alex, like I got this role and I want you to try out for it. And I'm going to give you a costume, a nice suit. I'm going to give you a little attaché case so you look important. I'm going to give you a little pen, and I'm going to give you a book of scripts.
Okay.
Made 40 pages, like a book of lines, right? And I'm going to say, hey, man, you get to audition. You get 6 months to prepare. And if you nail it, then great. Like you'll get this role in Broadway, and you'll be the man. And you're like, okay, cool. How much am I going to get paid? And I'm like, how much do you want to get paid? And you're like, well, I want to make $700,000. Great. You just got to nail the role. Well, the analogy is that what we do, like, I'm just an actor.
Yeah.
I play the role of a high producing salesperson who happens to sell real estate. I have a costume, right? I have props, you know,
yeah.
And then I have scripts. I have a book of rules. I mean, a book of, you know, things to say. And what I'm aware of is most people don't take the time to learn the conversation because the people change, the situations change within a certain amount of variables, but the conversation never changes.
Got it.
It's always the same, right? Always the same objections, always the same conversations, right?
And that's what you teach in your course, right?
Precisely. So what I did is I recognized that what keeps most people from doing the thing that they know is really required and the most profitable, because the lowest cost of sale is this. A lot of agents right now who are trying to build teams and spend a whole bunch of money, like they're gonna have a problem because that's a high cost of sale.
Sure, absolutely.
Right? But the lowest cost is this. It doesn't cost me anything. It just costs me some time, maybe a few bucks for the headset, and maybe a couple bucks for like the dialing system, and that's it. So what I did is I said, okay, what stops most people from getting on the phone? And what stops most people getting on the phone is not knowing what to say.
That's right. So yeah, it's actually not rejection. If people, the presenting behavior is rejection, but the underlying emotion is, I just don't know what to say.
Yeah, it's fear. I don't know what to say. So I said, all right, well, what can I do, right, to help them? So we created these classes. There's 7 of them. And if people go on Instagram in my bio, they can get them there. We bundled them all. It's how to make 6 figures calling expired listings. I did 100 deals one year, Alex, and 75 were expireds.
Wow.
How to make 6 figures calling for sale by owners. How to pre-qualify, which is a critical skill now. How to present. I give people my listing presentation. Essentially what I say and how I say it to list 120 to 130 homes each and every year, one at a time. How to get a price reduction. How to present an offer so it gets accepted. So we bundle those all up and basically give them away. They're free. It's like $50 because I want to give people the tools that they need to be able to go into the marketplace and do well for themselves.
That's free money. $50. That's nothing. That's nothing.
Yeah, and right now it's in 23 countries and 7 languages, and wow. I get a lot of good feedback from people. But again, my intention, sincerely, because when I first started selling real estate, I made $13,000 in my first calendar year.
Yeah.
It's not fun. I would not be on this podcast with you if that was my story.
That is very true. You would not be.
Nobody puts me on a panel to teach them about making $13,000 in a calendar year. But the deal is like, why'd that happen? Well, the reason why that happened is because I was operating under the wrong knowledge. Knowledge equals power. Everybody knows that.
Okay. Right? So let me ask you, so where do you go now? So you have your course, which is cool. Where are you going to educate yourself about the skill sets? And maybe the skill set, not in real estate, but just in business or whatever.
Yeah, so I'm looking at like really big, like business, like real money. I'm watching what like corporations are doing right now, which we were talking about off camera.
Yeah.
I'm watching what like Ray Dalio's telling people.
Okay.
Like I'm watching what like,
the biggest brains in the world. 80%
of people who actually run the planet, like what are they doing? Like what are they thinking? What is their message, right?
Got it.
So that way I can prepare myself, because there's a saying that says in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man or woman is king or queen. And I think that that's very true, right? So if I can get an accurate assessment of reality, if I can see what this game really is, which is a hardcore sales business, and we're being reminded of that right now. It's a skill-based business, which we're being reminded of right now. The money's not in the service, it's in the selling of the service, which we're being reminded of right now. And that all the leverage is on the listing side, that's becoming apparently clear, right? And that I need to be lean. If it's not bolted down, doesn't help me make money or makes me money, I need to get rid of it from a financial perspective. Like these are fundamentals that don't change. And if you can find what's true and then align yourself with it, right?
Yep.
Then no matter what happens, like you'll be okay.
Last question. I gotta end it with this question, all right? Because I know that my neighbor's dogs are going nuts back there. I don't know if you can hear the dogs or not. Hopefully not. You smile throughout the entire presentation.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, is that on purpose? And is that and I ask this because I almost feel like you do it on purpose. But let me share with you why.
Yeah.
I think you understand that even if you're not feeling by smiling it, you feel like you're transmitting that smile through the phone.
Yeah.
That's why I ask, is it on purpose?
Yeah. So I'm aware.
And I preface this with, I know you love what you do. So, and I know you're smiling because you're having fun, but I see it even when you, on Instagram, when you're filming yourself speak, you ask a question and you smile, right? So I've picked up on it. So I wanted to ask you that question too.
Yeah. So I feel like you're not the first person that has asked me that before. I think it comes from a few places. Like one, I genuinely enjoy helping people make decisions that accomplish their goals and objectives.
Got it.
Like I'm aware like people have different crafts. Some people can play a violin like amazing. Some people are like world-class like scientists, right? And what my craft is persuasion. Like I influence people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions through my voice my tonality and the words that I choose to use. Now I can either use that force just like in Star Wars. I can either use the force for good or I can use it for bad.
Sure, absolutely.
And what I'm choosing to use it for is to really be of service and to contribute, right? To help people accomplish their goals and objectives, to help agents accomplish their goals and objectives. So it comes from a place of genuinely just enjoying myself, right?
I love it, man. I love it. Aaron, dude, episode number 98, second time. I wish we could have done it in person, but I'll be honest with you, man. You exceeded my expectations via a split screen interview. Who knows, man? I've gone to LA 6 times for the show, New York 5 times, Dallas, Aspen, Vegas, and Charlotte. This may be a new way for the Closer Club. We'll see. Who knows?
Yeah.
I may have to. Maybe people don't want to meet in person for who knows how long.
Right. And with travel, man, it's you just pivot. That's all. So I'm very appreciative of the opportunity to be here. Very, very appreciative of the opportunity to share with your audience something, hopefully, that I share with them is helpful or useful in some way. Sincerely, if I could be of assistance, if I can help you, if you have a question, DM me on social, send me an email. Like I'm here to serve.
You got it. Aaron, thank you so much, man.
I appreciate you, brother. Talk to you later.
Talk to you soon.